socioeconomic background, perhaps they can't afford to go to graduation.
Yes.
But if they haven't met the criteria to go to graduation, is it that I'm supposed to still have them there anyway?
And then what does graduation is supposed to look like? Let's go back to the objective of what graduation is. He also mentioned that we can facilitate a school leaving ceremony. Again, the best interest of children. If it is that you understand that a high percentage of students can't meet this mark, cannot meet this requirement, is it just that we're just going to exclude them full stop because they haven't met that requirement? Don't they also deserve to leave school and feel celebrated of? So it's just understanding the best interest of children and understanding also that children deserve particular things that don't allow them to feel left out at the end of the day.
Colonel Scott, though, we're having this conversation where we also want to pull children higher. We want to have them then aspire. We want them to work higher. And we did have yesterday on the show Principal of Ascot High, Principal Jackson, on the show talking to us. And part of what he said was that it was meant to pull the children higher and allow for the grade 5 children coming behind to see what this was meant to be. Let's take a quick listen to Principal Jackson yesterday as we spoke with him on this issue, especially as he then reflected on the decision that had been made. Let's take a listen.
So the prize giving was held prior to graduation. And the decision was to have the students who fall in pathway 1 and 2 where the ministry results come, because that's how we stratify them. The decision was to have them being a part of the transitioning exercise. However, some persons believe that we should include the other students, even though they will be in uniform, and so we oblige them. I think because I oblige them, that's where we end up with 2 categories of students in one place, with uniform and coat. And this is what caused the controversy and the spirit to it that we are discriminating and humiliating students. It was never my intention as principal ever. And I have watched these students go from grade 1 at Ascot Primary. They don't only deliver curriculum, we come up with complementary programs.
You've had time to reflect now. Do you accept that the school got it wrong?
Yes, in the sense that like I said earlier on, I think we were a little myopic as administrators in the sense that we were just looking at the positives to say the government will incentivize, and the grade 5 looking on, it will motivate them to say next year I'll be in that category pathway 1 and 2 for those, not looking at the negative skill that it could have had.
Principal of Ascot Primary, Mark Jackson, talking with me yesterday about what has turned into a major discussion across the country, but also one that has broadened into now discussions about graduations themselves. Colonel Scott, you were referencing now what Principal Jackson was saying, but also reflecting on that, especially as he made mention of Pathway 1, Pathway 2, and Pathway 3, the PEP criteria that has now been handed down to schools to indicate if a child has met the requirements, is able to move to high school with little to no support, with medium support, or with high support needs. And having heard that now, where does that all fit in this graduation discussion?
Well, this situation is really unfortunate because, you know, sometimes we have a vision and we try to implement that vision with the stakeholder support, and you know we did not get the result that we actually wanted, and this is what happened in this instance. And as Principal Jackson said, that he was trying to motivate. So the question I would like to ask, do we have prize giving then? Because that again is going to be excluding students. Do we have prize giving for our students who have worked hard and you know they're successful in whatever criteria that were laid out for them?
But do you see prize giving as something separate? That is, a child that has worked and now has achieved something as separate from a graduation ceremony where children are being asked to come and attend, for their parents to subsidize the celebration of one set of students at the expense of another set of students. So as a prize giving ceremony, for example, doesn't have the parents whose children win no prizes come pay the same amount of money and then be visibly and publicly set to the side. Do you see that being different?
Well, the outcomes, that's what you are actually talking about.
No, the process, the very process, that the children who have won a prize are highlighted, but we don't also ask the children who've not won a prize to subsidize the children who've won a prize and then to be visibly set to the side as those children win a prize,
Yes,
wearing the cap and the gown versus those children who don't get to.
You are specifically speaking about the economic cost of the activity. That's what you're talking about in terms of the graduation versus, say, a prize giving. You said it's not subsidized.
On this, it comes up because if it's going to be a graduation, you said that the schools cannot use subvention money and they must go to the parents.
Right.
When a parent is paying the same amount of money as another parent to be the stakeholder, the equal stakeholder, as you said, as a school, as a student, as a parent, then should they not also have an equal expectation at that event?
No, yes, you are correct with that, certainly. So what you're saying is that because the schools can use a portion of the subvention for prize giving, then that is okay, because that's what I'm getting.
Well, it might be, because there are constitutional concerns now about the sort of gross discrimination that is being alleged, especially by places like Free Children Foundation, and the psychological impacts.
It is still public funded schools.
So you're saying then that we don't have any of that at all? That's where we're going to next as we take a break inside Lead Story Prime, because maybe we fix this problem by either having strict rules as to how it takes place or not have it take place at all. Stay with us.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Is the final segment of Lead Story Prime, taking a look at the graduation divide. Before the break, we were speaking with Lieutenant Colonel Paul Scott. You are talking to us now and raising the important question. Do we then have these? Because a publicly funded school is having this. We're having discussions about discrimination and different treatment. A prize-giving ceremony might raise the same concerns.
Absolutely.
Do you then believe that as the president of the principals of primary schools, that primary schools might have to look and see if this is going to be all this drama? Maybe there is nothing that takes place at all, or can the Ministry of Education send out guidelines that will make it standard across the board?
Well, maybe that's where we have to head. We started with the grooming situation, and it became guideline, and now it has been settled.
I'm sure Sabrina will say something about those grooming guidelines.
Right. But those guidelines were not set by us. They were set by the Ministry of Education. But listen, if parents and school, as I said, the stakeholders who own graduation, if they decide to have this celebration for the students, You understand me? I am not seeing a great issue. I understand what Dr. Paul was saying about, the psychological effects of it. So maybe the Ministry of Education will need to come in and set some guidelines, some strict guidelines that the schools will follow, so that it releases us of that activity, that risk, where parents will attack us.
Let's talk about that, because one letter had been sent to the Ministry of Education right after this Ascot situation had come to the attention of the parents. On June 15, one parent sent a note to the Education Ministry saying that as a concerned parent and member of the Ascot Primary School, they wanted to let them know about behavior that they thought was discriminatory, publicly humiliating to children, and contrary to the ministry's mandate for inclusive education. That went out on the 15th of June. They then went on to highlight what they thought was the concern that should detain the ministry, also saying, write us back, saying Mr. Jackson, as a principal's actions, breached the Ministry of Education's child protection and inclusion policies, the parent argued, safe school policy, and the code of ethics for educators. So the parents did reach out and say something. The Ministry of Education, though, they also told them that it segregates 12-year-old children at a milestone event based solely on academic performance. Dr. Paul Smith, we're looking at this situation. Adults might consider policies. Students are going to consider moments. Those children will consider moments. They'll have to live with them. No principal wants to intentionally hurt a child, but what do you say, Dr. Smith, to a child and a parent who had to deal with this sort of discrimination? We've also had other stories of high school parents who said they were ready to go to graduation with their high schooler, and they hear that there's a PTA form that they haven't filled out or a fee that they haven't paid, they can't graduate, and is a top 5 student. We're hearing more and more of these stories come to CVM. Talk to us about what you do when your child is publicly set aside in this way and you don't get to celebrate with them at all.
Very good thing, Jody. There has got to be some recourse. There has got to be some remediation. Our system, I believe, Jody, by and large, we deal with punishment and what remedial interventions are done. So if the students feel humiliated and embarrassed and upset and feel that it was demeaning, it was shameful not to be able to participate in that activity to the fullest. What now does the school, what now happens to them to get into their psyche, to ask them how they're feeling, to make sure that these feelings are not prolonged and become thematic in their lives. So I'm asking the next step psychologically is what? What do you say to those children? And I'm saying to these children who are listening that you are not less than. The system might treat you as less than, but you are as important as everybody else. You have potential. Others might bloom earlier or later than others, but it does not make you less of anybody, and the system will kind of allow you to feel that you are less than. And I believe that the conversation needs to continue beyond this. What now happens to the students? Who cares about how they are feeling? Exactly. Who cares what issues they will take into adulthood? I am concerned about that. It cannot be just the end of an activity and that is it. We have discussion, but where do the students fall in? Where do the parents fall in to all this kind of discussion?
Dr. Smith, given the conversation about the potential dangers of exercises like these that separate children, should we have graduation exercises or prize-giving ceremonies at all?
Well, I think that the stakeholders need to decide on that. I believe that the Ministry of Education needs to have guidelines and guidelines too, and make sure that they are adamant that these guidelines are followed, especially as it relates to cost, exorbitant cost. But if graduation is going to be had, there must be equity and there must be equality on how children are treated and the message that is sent to them.
We Children Foundation has been really passionate about defending children across the board. High schoolers, primary school, you want them to graduate. You want them to, if they're not graduating, be very clear as to why they're not graduating, the criteria so they're not discovering on the day. If the government is watching right now, Sabrina Barnes, on behalf of We Children Foundation, what's the kind of policy change that you want to see from them?
Yes, the We Children Foundation doesn't want to see the Ministry of Education mere condemn. We are a foundation. We can't just condemn. But you have the power to authorize, to give guidelines, and also to see that before the graduation period, that all things are set in place so children understand, parents understand, and even the school authorities understand what the graduation ceremonies are supposed to be like.
We just showed a picture a moment ago of a letter that had been sent by a parent before this graduation exercise raising concerns. Is this a time the ministry should have intervened?
The ministry knew about the situation, so yes, the ministry should have intervened. But even prior to that, ministry understands that this is graduation time, and these situations that are happening right now are not new. So we need to understand where we have gaps and where people are feeling left out, where there's exclusion and where there's limitation of rights, that we need guidelines and we need policies to rectify it. And that is the responsibility of the Ministry of Youth and Education.
30 seconds to you all. I start with Lieutenant Colonel Scott. If you could change one thing about how Jamaica handles graduations, what would it be?
Well,
school leaving ceremonies, prize giving ceremonies, whatever name we want to give this sort of commencement exercise.
Well, I think it is a challenge, and if parents will continue and society will continue to feel that students are being discriminated and being separated, I think we need to stop that program, and we probably need to have another form of celebration for our students.
I was suggesting during the break an ice cream party, bounce about cake and pizza. That might be how, especially at the primary level, that they are celebrated. Dr. Paul Smith, to you,
yes.
What do you, 30 seconds, what would be one thing that you would change about how Jamaica deals with graduations?
I think that, again, I'm having a challenge with the cost of some of the graduations, but I think that a conversation needs to be had going forward. What do we want? How do we want our children to feel? Will any be left behind? Will any be left out of it? And we have to consider what we're doing and realize that our actions have consequences, and sometimes they are far-reaching for our children. So I'm just saying in closing that children will always remember how you make them feel. Whatever we do must be in the best interest of child.
Final word to you, Sabrina Barnes.
Yes, I piggyback off what Doctor said. Yes, everything should be within the best interest of our children. Remember that children are also right holders, and that anything that limits the rights that children have to enjoy, that we need to reform, but also ensure that they're able to enjoy it.
Well, it's certainly something that we were happy to have as a conversation tonight inside Lead Story Prime. The graduation divide, not just looking at the story coming out from Ascot Primary, but larger concerns about how our children feel, how they're meant to feel, how we make them feel, especially during these times where we celebrate academic achievements, even in children who might not have that be their special skill set. Thank you tonight, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Scott, President of the Association of Principals of Primary Schools, Sabrina Barnes, Youth Policy Committee Chair of the We Children Foundation, and Dr. Paul Smith, President of the Jamaica Psychological Society. I'm Jody Ann Quarry, and on behalf of the entire CVM production team, thank you for watching Lead Story Prime. Have a fantastic evening, and I hope you stay safe. Up next, Fan Central. Then later at 10:10, we have Fan Central Extra Time. So join us. Glad?
Greatest show on earth is here. over, and Fan Central goes into extra time for 39 days right throughout FIFA's Showpiece tournament. With a Pepsi in hand, of course. Catch the playbook with a tactical breakdown from our expert coaches. Come sit in our fan corner where you have your say on the day's action. Fame or shame? Who are the best or worst players of the day? And have a laugh as we share some of the best reactions on social media. After the final whistle, it's extra time. Fan Central Extra Time. 8 p.m. daily with 10 p.m. shows on select days where there are 8 p.m. match kickoffs.
Fan Central Extra Time is brought to you by the Pepsi Football Nation, where fans make the rules. Football, better with Pepsi.
Hey, what I want?
Hi, I am Candy Pang.
What I want?
What a guan?
That I want, pa.
What a guan? What a guan?
What a one! Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
And that's a guan, pa. What a guan?
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's